Hi, everyone. It's Peter Kraut of Silver Advisor with another episode of the Pay Dirt podcast, where we interview management of companies that we recommend, but also personally own, track, and report on. And today I am with David Wolfin, President and CEO of Avino, as well as Nathan Harte, who is CFO at Avino. David and Nathan, welcome, and thanks for speaking with us today about the exciting developments at Avino.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to this chat. It's been an eventful 2025, and I imagine that will continue and carry well through 2026. Let's start with you, David. Why don't you give us some of the highlights of last year? There are multiple, I'm sure, and some things that we should look out for in 2026.
Well, a big highlight is we were included in the TSX 30 top performing companies on the exchange. We were ranked fifth. Our value increased by over 600% based on a 3-year trailing average. So that was very great for us. We're a junior producer. We produce about 2.5 to 2.8 million ounces of silver equivalent on an annual basis. And we're going from one producing asset to three within 5 years. We call it a transformational growth strategy because we're going to go from a junior producer to the intermediate size company, 8 to 10 million ounces or more within 5 years. So there's a void for intermediates because the three that got taken out recently, Mag, Silvercrest, and Gatos, are gone. So we want to fit right in there. And, we're generating positive cash flow. We've got a clean balance sheet, unhedged, and big leverage to silver. We've got over 300 million ounces of silver equivalent as a measured and indicated. And then we're coming out with reserves in Q1, so it'll be the level of confidence will grow even higher.
So David, really, that's quite the resource for a company of your size, and you're going to do some resource updating, resource and reserves updating. In fact, from what I know, quite soon. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the last few years we've been exploring on and off, and we're adding more drill rigs, but we decided to upgrade to a reserve calculation. And this is because we qualified. We didn't build the mine based on a feasibility study. It was an old mine. We bootstrapped and put it back into production with private money. And so under 43-101 rules, you need to have revenue of 90 million to qualify to publish reserves. And so we crossed that threshold. So now we're going to come out with reserves, and we're excited about that. It'll be coming out in Q1.
So why don't we jump to another asset? So I mean, you've got obviously the producing mine, but there's La Preciosa.
Yeah.
There's been significant progress there, and that's going to drive production, drive value. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Sure. We acquired that in 2022 from Coeur Mining, $30 million. They paid $358 million by Anorco in 2013. So we got a good deal there, and it's got a huge resource base, 500,000 meters of drilling. So it's well understood. We got our permit in Q1 of last year, 2025. We started breaking ground in April. And by Q4, we were delivering mineralized material to the mill. It's not mining, it's development mining because we're putting in the different levels. So there's dilution in there, but still it's positive. So once we start mining on there, we expect less dilution and higher grades to be put through our mill, which is only 19 kilometers away. So we're just hauling it there. So we didn't have to build a whole new mill.
Wow, so that's really that I can see that there's probably some significant synergies as well.
Definitely. And now with higher metal prices, we brought in an engineering firm to reimagine a few different scenarios of expansions going forward. So that'll be that's being worked on this year. So I can't tell you when that will be released, but probably before the end of the year.
we're going to have to circle back on these new higher, much higher silver prices and what that what that can do to margins. Um, in terms of exploration, you've had some pretty good success there. There's the Elena Tolosa vein system
Yeah.
at Avino. Maybe you can speak to us a little bit about that because that sounds pretty exciting.
Well, that's the gift that keeps giving. I mean, it was discovered in the 1500s and we're still mining it, and it's never been drilled to depth. Our partners in the 70s and 80s was a private family, so they never did a lot of drilling. And we brought in these services of two world renowned structural geologists, Jeff Hedenquist out of Ottawa and Tony Starling out of the UK, ex Newmont, to figure out what could be at depth. Is there a porphyry? Is there a skarn? We haven't found the intrusive, so there's tremendous potential. And we did a bunch of drilling in 2024. We took last year, no, 2023, and then we had to take a year off because we spent money buying La Preciosa. So then last year we were back drilling again. So sorry, and so all this information is getting compiled in the new resource estimate. And we're also ramping down below level 17, which is the bottom developed area of the mine, to intersect some of the drilling we did below that. And we hit a really beautiful hole, 57 meters of 400 grams of silver equivalent. There was about 40 meters of 300 grams. And within there was 3.5 meters of about 4 or 5 kilograms. So we're really excited to get there. And so we're ramping down there. We're mining into different areas. And there's also an area to the west that was always untouched because there's a tailings pond that sits on top. So we didn't want to agitate that. But during COVID, we built a dry stack tailings facility and we decommissioned this. So it's drying out, it's becoming safer to explore below it. So there's blue sky there as well.
Wow. So it seems like, yeah, I mean, there's room to keep growing the resources pretty dramatically over the next few years, and it sounds like these mines can be operating for a whole long time.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we're hearing that open pit permits may be allowed again. That changes things on our property as well. There's plenty of potential up near the surface, and you would think after hundreds of years it would be kicked around a lot, but these are structurally controlled and there's offsetting faults, and in between there's all these veins. We've counted 60 or 70 veins. There's unnamed veins. So there's all kinds of potential there. So we're really excited about it, especially with this market and us having more money. So now we can go and do a lot more exploration.
That's really exciting. Nathan, I'm gonna switch to you for a moment.
All right.
Avino's doing well, financially healthy, very healthy. Maybe you can give us an overview of the company's financial picture, and we can go into a little bit of detail there.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how things can change, 12 months, 24 months. I was making a joke with our CEO, Carlos, a few weeks back about he asked for $1 million about in 2023, and I didn't have it for him. So now, obviously, we're in a much different financial position. So we closed out the third quarter with 57 million, and we're going to close out the end of the year right around about 100 million in cash. Obviously, these metal prices will continue to provide a lot of free cash flow generation as we go into 2026 and beyond. And I think now you're also seeing, a lot of everyone's forecasts and navs are starting to match up a little more so as now these prices are actually sticking around. So, I mean, we think we got one of the cleanest balance sheets in the business. You got 100 million net cash and you've got essentially no debt other than payables and then a royalty milestone payment. So we feel pretty good about where we are, and we've got La Preciosa to continue building, and then we've got the tailings project. So, and as well as, maybe a larger version of La Preciosa. So we're pretty excited to be in this position.
So, Nathan, can you tell me a little bit about some of the highlights of Q3?
Sure. Yeah. Third quarter was fairly good, fairly strong. I mean, and the average metal price was $40 silver. So we have to keep reminding people of that when they look at our most recent results, as well as the rest in the industry, is that we haven't really seen these elevated prices and the results of these elevated prices even yet. But no, we had a good strong quarter. I mean, we had I think we had 5 cents earnings after taxes, about 7 cents cash flow per share. Profit margins were around 50%. I think we're closer to 55 on a cash basis. So every ounce we pull out of the ground, we're making good money. Um, and again, that was at $40 silver too. So it's been pretty fantastic. If we can maintain these costs through into Q4, Q1, 2026 and onwards, there's a lot of margin to be had there. And then, as David alluded to, the idea becomes more ounces, not just profitable ounces. And I think being able to combine those two for the future is going to be good for us because when we initially purchased La Preciosa, we wanted to make sure it worked at $25 silver. Well, long gone are those days right now. So,
Yeah. And it came very fast.
very fast.
Is it fair to say that now, the analysts are going to have to all go back, sharpen their pencils, rejig their their models,
Yeah,
and that a lot of
yeah.
that's not reflected yet.
It's not. No, I mean everyone's still saying, the silver producers are trading at significant premiums. Well, it's yeah, okay. What price are you using that when you calculate
Exactly.
that, right? And we're gonna have some more information, obviously, with reserves at La Preciosa and Avino that'll be coming out soon. So be able to help the community with a little more information. But I think, even some of our analysts are still, yeah, in the 30s for silver prices and do have a long way to go. Starting to get there. I think you're in, yeah, the community's starting to get there and rally around it. So,
So Nathan, if Carlos comes back to you for that $1 million, do you have it for him now?
yeah, we're gonna get
We did,
we're getting some equipment upgrades in 2026. That's for sure.
and more than doubled the exploration budget.
We did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. David's, yeah,
So
we've
you're
He's a
allocated.
geologist.
Yeah.
you're making Carlos pretty happy, I
We're
think.
making everyone pretty happy. No, it's
Not
we've
just
put
Carlos.
yeah, we've put about $5 million towards to strictly exploration this year, where that's well above what we've put in the past.
Yeah, and the communities. Last week I was in Mexico because
Yeah.
Samsung, our number one trading partner, donated 60 televisions, like 75-inch television, 60 air conditioning units, and 60 Galaxy tablets that are going to be distributed in the
Wow.
schools around the mine.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. That is such meaningful fallout and impact for, like you say, for the community. That's just wonderful to see.
Yeah.
David, one last question in our main sort of lineup of questions. What are your thoughts on the silver market in general? Where have we come from and where do we go from here?
Well, I think we're where we all expected, and the catalyst to get here was a bit of a surprise, but I think we're where we expected, and you can see the demand is growing. I mean, as the U.S. trading partners don't want to hold U.S. debt anymore, they're going to gold, and then you've got these financial instruments like Tether buying $80 billion, like that's creating more demand. That's like a country. So there's more that size of growth in the demand. So I'm excited. I can't give you a target, but if they stays where it is now, we're gonna be happy.
No doubt about it. And obviously it's difficult to say where it goes and so on. But like you say, if these levels can be maintained,
For sure.
there's just such tremendous upside, it seems, that has yet to be priced in. And so my view is, but I'm curious what yours is. Mine is that we could be in a very sort of buoyant market for the next sort of year to couple of years as all
Mhm.
of this continues to play out, and especially if silver can continue to perhaps stay where it is or even gradually climb, which seems to be increasingly what's likely.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
I think we've got about 3 more years of Mr. Trump in the U.S. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty out
Yeah.
there. So that's good for metals markets. So got a few years left to go before we see a major correction. But I don't know. The demand is growing. So I'm excited. I think we're not going back to a couple of years ago prices. I think
Yeah,
we're going to see good
There's a floor.
prices and good margins with disciplined producers.
Yep. I would
excellent.
echo that.
We've done a good job, I think, of getting an overview of Avino, where we've been and where we're headed. David, I'd like to kind of end this on a lighter note, and maybe if ask you if you could contribute some kind of an anecdote. Tell us an interesting or fun story, experience-wise, in terms of mining and building out Avino to what it's become today.
Well, I worked in the mine as a teenager. My father sent me there. He founded the company, and he wanted me to learn the business. So I went down there. And he gave me some money to buy some new jeans because I had holes in my jeans. And so when I was at the mine site, the mine manager said, "You want to come into town? We're playing in a golf tournament." He introduced me to his daughter. She introduced me to their friends. And somehow I got introduced to Miss Mexico. So she invited me. I got to know her. She invited me to the governor's mansion. They were having a party. So every weekend I was down there with them. And my father calls and he says, "Where is he? He hasn't called home in 6 weeks." Said, "Put him on a plane. He's got to go to school." So I fly back home and I don't say a word. We're driving to school, and he looks at me and he goes, "So you're mad I sent you?" I said, "Mad? Why did I have to come home?" And he said, "You had fun." And then he looked at it. He goes, "You still got the same jeans on." So I didn't want to waste it on clothing. I needed beer money because I was a teenager. So yeah, that was a great experience. They're super nice people down there. I love them to death. They're our number one resource down there. They're really dedicated people. So I'm really happy. I feel blessed to be involved with such great people.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story, and I've spent a little bit of time in Mexico as well, and I can only agree. The people are amazing, very friendly, always helpful, considerate, and that makes a world of difference to run a company like yours. David and Nathan, thank you so much for your time. This was a fantastic introduction to Avino for, any of our viewers who don't maybe know Avino yet or don't know the company that well. We will certainly continue to watch for ongoing news and let's make a point of catching up again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having us.